When someone chooses to live alone, doesn't vent to anyone, doesn't beg for support, doesn't depend on people, the world labels them as strange. But the truth is something very different. That person isn't strange. They're dangerous. Not dangerous in a harmful way, but in a way that makes them impossible to control. You can't break them, you can't bend them, and you definitely can't use them. This video is for those who feel like something is wrong with them, just because they don't fit into the crowd. The ones who wonder if they're missing something because they don't have a large circle, constant company, or endless validation. Pause for a moment. Listen carefully, because by the end of this you might start seeing yourself in a completely different way. Most people assume that if someone is alone, they must be weak, that they're afraid, disconnected, or somehow damaged. But reality doesn't work that way. The person who has learned how to be alone has passed one of the hardest tests life can offer. They don't need approval, they don't crave applause, they don't depend on constant presence. And when a person reaches that state, when they no longer need anything from others, they become extremely difficult to control. And that's what unsettles people. But no one becomes like this overnight. No one is born this way. So how does someone reach that point? It usually begins the same way it begins for many people, but ends very differently. This is someone who trusted and was betrayed, who gave love and received disappointment, who stood for others but found no one standing when they needed it most. Over time, they learn something most people try to ignore, that people can change, that relationships aren't always what they seem, and that the only person who is consistently reliable is themselves. Now here's where it shifts. That pain could have broken them, but instead, it shaped them. Like pressure refining something raw into something stronger, those experiences forced them to see more clearly, to stop operating blindly, to stop assuming and start observing. And from that process, something develops, a different kind of awareness. They begin to recognize patterns, not just what people say, but what they mean. Not just actions, but intentions behind them. They notice inconsistencies, subtle signals, the gap between words and behavior. Someone might speak kindly, but carry hidden motives. Someone might offer help, but expect something in return. And they see it. Because experience has trained them toto, this kind of awareness makes them hard to deceive, and that makes others uncomfortable. Because in front of someone who sees clearly, pretense doesn't work. So people label them distant, cold, hard to reach. But what's actually happening is much simpler. They've developed boundaries, and boundaries are not built by weak people. They're built by people who understand the value of their time, their energy, and their attention. They don't let everyone into their life, they choose. And that choice creates distance from the wrong people, the ones who were used to having access, the ones who benefited from your lack of limits, the ones who expected you to always be available, always agreeable, always easy to influence. When you start setting boundaries, those people disappear. And that's not a loss, that's clarity. And here's the most important truth. The person who can sit alone and feel at peace is the freest person in this world. They don't need parties to feel alive. They don't crave constant company to feel complete. They don't perform for validation or attention. They're comfortable in their own presence, in their thoughts, in their silence, in their own space. And that kind of freedom is rare. Most people are afraid of being alone. That's why they stay stuck. In relationships that drain them, in environments that limit them, in connections that exist only out of fear of emptiness. But the one who has learned to be alone is free from that fear. And that changes everything, because when you don't need anything from others, you become impossible to manipulate. If you don't seek approval, no one can control you with validation. If you don't crave company, no one can trap you with presence. If you don't depend on love, no one can threaten you by taking it away. You move beyond pressure, beyond fear, beyond control. You can't be bought. You can't be intimidated. You can't be forced into anything that doesn't align with you. And that's why such a person feels dangerous to others, because they have nothing to lose. But being a loner doesn't mean you dislike people. It means you value your time. You don't give it to everyone. You choose carefully. Maybe you have one or two people in your life, but they're real, deep, trustworthy, not based on convenience but on truth, because you understand something most people ignore. Being surrounded by the wrong people increases loneliness. Being alone without the wrong people reduces it, so you choose quality over quantity. And if you're someone who lives this way, remember this. Your peace is your greatest asset. Don't trade it for shallow connections. Don't lose it in unnecessary drama. Don't let anyone take it from you with their opinions. People will talk. They'll say you've changed. They'll call you distant. They'll assume you don't care. Let them. You don't owe them explanations. You know what you've been through. You know why you've become this way. You know what it cost you to reach this clarity. And not everyone is meant to understand that. In the end, there are two kinds of people. Those who dissolve into the crowd, constantly adjusting, constantly seeking approval, constantly afraid of standing alone. And those who walk their own path, quietly, independently, without needing permission. Both paths exist, but they lead to very different lives. The first is easier, but you lose yourself in it. The second is harder, but you find your freedom there. So if you feel different, if you walk alone, if you don't fit into what the world expects, understand this clearly. That is not a weakness. It's your strength. Because the person who can walk alone can go further than anyone else. They don't wait. They don't depend. They don't ask for permission. They build their own path, make their own decisions, live life on their own terms. So trust yourself. Protect your peace. Recognize your strength. You're not broken, you're refined. And refined people are rare. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more content that challenges how you see yourself and the world around you. We'll talk again in the next one.